Interesting. Something's changed with Jitsi since the last time I recorded. Well, welcome everyone to the weekly meeting of the OpenStack Technical Committee. It's the first time that we're hosting this weekly meeting on Meetpad, but we've had a lot of experience with Meetpad before, so hoping this was going to be smooth sailing. And as usual, the recordings of this meeting will be posted on the OpenStack TC meeting, YouTube channel. And the changes that I'm seeing on the on Jitsi seem to be good. I mean, it's showing me the screen that it's going to record. In the past, I was confused what it's exactly recording. Is it my view, and if I'm switching things and so on, how things are going to be captured. But it's pretty cool. All right, so let's get started as usual with last week's AIs. I think we had a couple, but I'm just going to check again to be sure. And it was stuff that we've been carrying on regarding eventlet and so on. Just a sec. All right. I think one of these was on the Cyborg project inactivity stuff. So we've gone ahead and abandoned the change that was going to mark this project inactive, but we were discussing other stuff regarding the project inactivity. I see one open review on the governance repo, and this is to actually take a project out of the inactive list and actually retire it. So I'll link that out here, and it's seen some reviews. And the reason we've got to be talking about this is this is milestone 2 a week. So in a couple of days, we're tagging milestone 2. I mean, we're not really tagging milestone 2, but it's milestone 2 for us. So if this is the checkpoint that we had to actually take things out of a release, out of the coordinated release that's happening later in the cycle. Um, yes, Jeremy.
Just on a quick note on the cyborg inactivity or lack thereof now, Horace just this morning put me in touch with one of the early cyborg contributors who is now working at IBM who wants to help get it back into shape. So hopefully that will come to fruition.
Awesome. Are we able to share their name, or it doesn't matter?
I can look if you give me 1 second.
Okay.
It is. I'm sorry, the name did not stick with me.
Oh yeah.
Li Lu.
Okay.
Li Lu.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So let's continue reviewing that change. I don't think it's urgent. It's not going to be milestone 2 specific for us specifically because this is what it's doing is it's removing the Monasca project from the from the inactive list, and it's putting it back on the as a legacy project. So it's technically retiring the project. So we're not going to be bound by the milestone 2 deadline for this, given that we're not shipping any releases for the Monasca project at the moment. Does that sound fine? Any objections there? Awesome. All right. I don't see anything else being raised as far as inactive projects and so on for the M2 deadline. I think we're good there. I do see a couple of deprecations, and these are just project updates. I don't think they're going to affect the M2 deadline that we had for inactive projects. That is. All right. So that's all I had about that AI. And the next change that we had was about the event-led goal proposal, I think. Sorry, the event-led goals timeline. And this is being discussed actively on the governance change that was pushed by Sylvain. And he just told us in the channel that he hadn't had time to revise the proposal, but I think there is some sort of consensus building on the change itself. All right. Uh, that's kind of the main. Oh yeah. Oh, we had one other one other thing, which was the critical bug that was reported against PBR. And give me a sec.
Steven's been looking into that.
Yes.
Yeah, and
We
it
were
seems like part of the plan there is to take stock of what PBR is doing for us today and sync up with setup tools upstream and figure out what can go away, what we need better integration within setup tools, and so on. So trying to improve the collaboration there as well.
Awesome. All right. Perfect. Yeah, Stephen sent me an email about that, saying he was also looking internally at Red Hat if there was somebody else that that could be assigned from his team to look at it. I haven't had an update after that, but I'll keep a tab on that. All right. I think one AI outside of the meeting that we were catching up on um, was all of the stuff related to the DCO implementation. I think we can talk about that next.
and just to be clear, the ACL change enacting enforcement for that took effect about 13:30 UTC today.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And has there been any hiccups, any chatter about that so far?
Nobody has said a word.
Well, I heard a couple of words about rebases and what should they do and what DCO, what DCOs they should put for rebases, but I mean, this was answered, so.
Yeah, I expect that the project maintainers are probably taking the brunt of of any confused stragglers who didn't know this was happening, but nothing has percolated up to the OpenDevSys admins or the TactSig.
You're right, because technically it works as expected. It's just people need to get used to it.
Okay, perfect. I think we're on the finishing leg of that, and I mean, Jeremy pointed me to one other issue that was there in the governance repo, and that's this one here, where we talk about licensing, and the meat of that is not as much about the CLA as it is about the licensing license that projects need to follow. So I did try to make a change with that. So I'd like some reviews on it, please. And I didn't add the hashtag. TCO signed off by. All right. And looking at that hashtag, I think that's the last open change to be merged. Was there anything else that we were planning to do regarding DCO?
No, I went through all of the open tooling changes yesterday, and any of them that hadn't already been approved, I self-approved just to go ahead and get them off the charts there, and hopefully not end up with any job failures as a result of the ACL change today.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Anything else to be said about DCO? All right. If there's nothing else, any other AIs that folks were tracking? If not, let's go ahead. We actually don't have any new topics this week. We're going to go through our usual topics, which is a pleasant thing once in a while. So let's go through the gate health issues. I did see that the Zool launcher change was reverted, but was that applied again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yesterday-ish, like mid-morning, we started reapplying those changes. So far, it's stuck. There have been a couple issues that we've noticed, but they were much more minor than the previous thing that caused us to revert. So we're rolling forward instead. There's two changes in particular that Jim has mentioned, fix issues that he's noticed and he'd like to get rolled out today. One of the changes that Zool Launcher does is it is a little bit less strict about ensuring all of the test nodes are in the same cloud provider. By default, that's still the behavior. But unlike Nodepool, if it will fall back to spreading things out across multiple providers in some situations. And right now it's doing that more aggressively than we want. And so we've noticed some multi-node jobs don't like that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the fixes today, is to address that. It's supposed to do that only like in an exceptional case. I think the idea is, if the alternative is to fail the job or run it and see if it works, let's run it and see if it works. And right now it's just doing it more than that. So hopefully once that's fixed, things will be much happier. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it seems to be working pretty well. We're noticing that there's gaps in some of the metrics gathering around it, and so there's also changes that don't affect behavior but just collect more data so that we can monitor it better. But yeah, it's currently, I think, 87% ish of the test nodes are from Zool Launcher and not Node Pool right now, something along those lines.
Awesome.
I guess it's also worth noting that I think we're still lacking the bionic and focal images. Getting those built is in progress, but there are changes up for that. And those are necessary for some old stable jobs as well as the translation jobs. So part of that 13% that's still running on Node Pool are those, I think, but we should get those transitioned over soon enough. And then there's also newer labels. Once things kind of settle out, I think it'll become more flexible for Zool users to kind of pick jobs that are more appropriately sized for the tests that they are running. I don't know why I struggled with that sentence.
Yeah, I did a bit of quick comparison, and there are no longer any unmaintained OpenStack branches that had Ubuntu Bionic in their PTI, I don't think. But I think branches as recent as unmaintained Z may be using Focal, or were contemporary with having Focal in their project testing interface as a target platform.
And that I also spotted there was today and yes, since yesterday evening there was some issue with mirror sync for Ubuntu Noble at very least. Mirrors were referring to, well, they were requiring new world library which was requested by Kemu. Just a second. Kemu. Uh, Camel block extra, and when I checked like upstream mirrors, there was no such requirement. But I didn't raise it anywhere because it was less than 24 hours, so potentially it was just sync yet. And my assumption is that some package was released and then was yanked from Ubuntu mirrors or something like that.
Great. Any other gate issues to note? All right, sounds like none. So let's move on to the next topic, which is our tracker. We haven't been here in a while. I haven't. So a couple of updates. I think the OpenStack user survey is still open and accepting responses until August, I suppose. So if we're, if you are pushing some messaging to your downstream organizations, this is a good time because we are going to get the responses from that post the survey closure, probably around August end or September, and we can do our analysis, and we can also at that time remember to make changes for the next user survey. Um, on the goals as such, I think we have not caught up on any updates. I haven't had a chance to go back to the goal champions on the root rep and the FIPS compatibility goals at least. But as you can tell, I mean, the secure RBAC meetings are happening. So is event-led removal. So we're pretty focused on the first two of those four goals that we had. I don't have any concrete updates to share for today, though. And going down that list, I18N. One second. We're close to wrapping up the internship that the I18N folks were running this cycle. I had an update that I could share with you folks. Give me a second to pull that up. All right. We had a few things. I'm just going to dump some links, but it might be something that could probably show you what's being worked on at the moment. And these are interns just going through the process of cleaning up the scripts that the I18 and team was maintaining for the existing Zanata stuff. And they'll continue to work through this month, and so through the end of it, we don't expect a major chunk of the scripting to be completed for the weblet migration. That's something that Ian and Shangshu were looking to do themselves. But this is probably a thing for them to try to get brainstorm with the students, and kind of work out that action plan for themselves. As they were discussing with us, they still lack a whole lot of Zool expertise, and how to set up jobs and so on. But the first step would be to try to get these scripts and try to manually execute them, and see that everything is right before they start crafting jobs for those. So that's where they are with that. Right. Any questions, concerns about that? If not, is there anything else on the tracker that you'd like to talk about? All right, sounds like none. Let's go ahead to the open discussion. All right. This is the moment you've been waiting for. If you had any topics, but otherwise, I think I just see a new email from Jeremy on the mailing list regarding the DCO. Pretty cool. I'll just share a link in a sec. All this stuff is taking time. Well, anything else that you folks want to talk about, feel free. Okay, sounds like nothing of import. I think Amy, you said we would want to discuss the TC forum session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
What do you
we
think?
want to submit a forum session for the TC? Just meet and greet, discuss any issues that anyone there has that they want to bring forward to the TC. It also is an opportunity for us to talk about what we do for the next upcoming elections, that sort of thing. If we submit it, will people come and participate?
Yes. So I was going to say I'm not going to be at the summit, but Amy, you're going to be there. Is anybody else planning to attend? I think I saw talks by Artem.
Yeah, I also will be there.
Okay, nice.
And I believe Sylvain also.
Sylvain, Artem, yeah.
And Mikael as well. Because
Okay.
I saw talks.
All right, you actually have a pretty good presence there then. Anybody else going to be there? Doug, Jeremy, Clark? Not
I
traveling?
know Clark has a section and Jeremy has a session.
Yeah, I mean, I will hopefully be there. I don't make any assumptions about the viability of air travel these days.
True.
Yeah.
All right, I'll submit a meet and greet. If it gets in, I'll make sure it doesn't conflict with anybody's talks.
Nice. Thank you.
And if there's anyone who doesn't have a talk submitted and needs to be on a talk in order to put in for travel, let me know and we'll make sure your name's on it. Therefore, if it gets in, you have a talk.
Nice. All right. So I think let's wrap up here. And if I'll leave the meeting open until the hour on the OpenStack TC channel. If you think of something to say, talk about that, let's chat. But over here, let's wrap this up, and I'll see you on the IRC channel next week.
Take care, all.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay, see you.